Warning, the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, the world's most exciting podcast, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, New York Times best-selling author and National Radio Hall of Fame inductee, Michael Savage.
I'm here. We feel safe and sound, so many of us coming here. Just not only say it's safe, but to say thank you for being Chinatown.
At the Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Factory, the owner acknowledged sales have fallen by hundreds of dollars per day. No one here, though, is sick or wearing face masks.
We want people to care about our small businesses and our survival here. And hopefully they'll take heart and come down here. We've got a lot of great places here for people to see.
The owner of the Walk Shop on Grant Avenue was thrilled when the speaker dropped in and bought a walk. The store has been in business for 52 years, and the power came back on during her visit, which was considered a good sign.
That was the best thing that you could do. It's safe. It's wonderful. We welcome everybody.
Come, roll in the streets.
The walk ended with a stop for lunch, a dim sum
on
Grant Avenue. Of Chinatown leaders. Mrs. Pelosi was critical of the president's proposal to cut $1 billion.
The point is this. Welcome to the show. Pelosi and I'm sorry to say, know-nothing fake conservatives agree that there's nothing to worry about. We used to hear about talking points coming down from the White House to the media when Obama was in office, and we mocked it. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, there's a lot to be worried about. And when Pelosi tours San Francisco's Chinatown to show it's safe, and you have once credible conservatives saying the same thing as Nancy Pelosi, then you know what I meant by beware the government media complex when I gave that famous speech in 1998 at the Commonwealth Club right here in San Francisco. Later today, President Trump is going to make a speech about the coronavirus pandemic that is obviously worrying everyone in the world except followers of certain talk show hosts. I'm not sure what he'll say, really, but I think what Limbaugh is saying is almost identical to what the president will be saying, and it's the same talking points. It's not good for the president. It is not good for the president to downplay this. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be panicked, but I am saying you need to be prepared and making the right decisions regarding taking precautions, reasonable precautions to prevent yourself from contracting the coronavirus. I'm not going to play this down like it's no big deal, because the White House wants those on the conservative side to say it's no big deal. The numbers don't lie. 80,000 infected that we know of, 2,700 dead. Now, this doesn't include the numbers of cases the Chinese are not telling us about, which could number into the hundreds of thousands. They have portable crematoria going around China, by the way. This should not be a political issue. This should be a medical issue. This is not about President Trump and how it affects him. There is no need to play this down. We saw Democrats last night on stage lying to the American people. We saw Bernie Sanders lying about the wonders of Cuba and communism. And we almost wanted to throw eggs at him for being such a throwback and a case of arrested communist development. But I have a moral obligation to let you know the truth about what's going on to the best of my knowledge, and to warn you, my listeners, how to take proper precautions. Donald Trump should not be and is not the center of every topic on the planet. There are things bigger than the president, and this is one of those things. Like I told you yesterday, first comes hubris, then chaos, then nemesis. Hubris, chaos, nemesis. Playing down this disease could lead to people catching it, causing great chaos in the nation. It's a bad, perfect storm that could be emerging. And all I'm saying is be wise and prepare yourself. I am not being a doomsayer. I just want to be good to my audience, and I want you to be prepared. I'm Michael Savage, and I agree with my monologue, or I wouldn't have written it. If you want to comment on this, the phone number is 855-400-7282. But please don't read the talking points that you heard on radio this morning from a high school dropout who knows nothing about epidemiology or disease prevention or control. I spent years in graduate school studying the epidemiology of diseases. It doesn't make me the world's expert, but it makes me knowledgeable, more so than anybody in the American media today. But I'm not here to grandstand. I'm here to help my listeners see their way through this. And rather than focusing on the coronavirus, which you're going to hear about later on when the president speaks, I want to focus right now about what went on last night. I literally watched the entire Democrat debate, and I tweeted all night long. I'm just going to read you some of my tweets. Many of you joined Twitter just for me. And here's what I wrote. Dem debate? I could crush the communists in the first 2 minutes. Sanders, have you ever created a job or service anyone ever bought? Have you ever created a private sector job? Next tweet. Hey, liar. You and your wife busted out of Vermont College and stole the funds. You should be in prison, not on this stage. Why didn't any of the Democrats put this cheap punk in his place? Why are they treating this communist thief so well? What you're seeing here is cowardice. Then there are others on the stage. I said, hey, Dizzy Lizzie, have you ever created a job or service anyone purchased? Can't you just shut up and listen? Does being a woman make you superior? You've only been a bureaucrat all your life. Another tweet. Sanders, you lying New York motor mouth. You quote Lancet. It's a left-wing organ of the Socialist Party USA. They lost all credibility years ago. Sanders, just shut up. Your New York big mouth is dominating the stage. Your rudeness shows how unfit you are to run the nation. Why is Steyer, the billionaire liar, allowed on the stage? Poor little howdy-doody mayor looks like a kid who should be wearing knickers. Poor old Joe Biden ready for the Democrat glue factory. Why don't the moderators put a large cork in Sanders' big New York motor mouth? You know, I thought of the cork because I knew someone who went into acting, who tried to be an actor, and he went to the Stella Adler School of Acting in New York. And he told me the first thing the teacher did to him was take out a gigantic cork and tell him to put it in his mouth. Apparently, Sanders never went to the Stella Adler School of Acting. Somebody should have put a big cork into that lying vermin's mouth. Every time I mute the sound, I looked at the screen. There was the loudmouth lying communist fraud shouting and waving his puny arms. And I said, CBS is throwing it to the Sandman. CBS equals committed to Bernie Sanders. Why do all the Dems oppose voter ID? They are the party of illegal aliens and other deadbeats. Bloomy wants to ban obesity. Nanny State usher. No soda, no hot dogs, no ice cream, no chips, no alcohol, no candy. Sanders wants to legalize all drugs so more millions can be stoned and ignorant. Sanders just said African Americans should become sellers of marijuana, working for the government. Can't get more racist than that. Sanders loved Cuba under murderer Castro. Buttigieg nailed him for worshiping the 60s revolutionary governments. Made his beady eyes more beady, his face even more beet-like. Spoke to a top cardiologist about lying Bernie. I said communist haters must produce an unknown enzyme which protects them from a second heart attack, even when agitated. Would make for a good PhD dissertation, by the way. Sanders discovered he's Jewish quite recently, and yet he hates Israel. Trump is the greatest friend the Jews have ever had. Poor Joe Biden forgot what he was talking about, went silent and blank. Am I the only one who sees he is senile? It's very sad, by the way, watching him. His family should take him off the stage. Bloomberg, too meek to run a dog shelter. Dogs would pee on his shoes. He would pat them and forgive them. Sad. And by the way, my last tweet last night, what is that small pin on Comrade Sanders' lapel? Is it the Order of Heroic Soviets? The Fidel Castro Medal of Propaganda? The Cardiology Medal of Hubris? The Medal of Slavery? The Joker? If it was me on the stage, I would have pummeled him into a pile of what he is. By the way, there's an article that I found in the Jerusalem Post that's not being reported here in America that I put on michaelsavage.com. For all of you who love Israel, 347 rabbis have signed a letter rejecting Bernie Sanders' derogatory, hateful comments about Netanyahu and Israel. Horrifying to believe this man can say a thing like this. Yasser Arafat didn't even have the gall to attack Israel and Jews the way Bernie Sanders is attacking Israel and Jews. This is the Savage Nation, 855-400-7282. If you want to talk about the coronavirus, if you want to talk about know-nothings, in the media, disseminating government propaganda, telling you there's nothing to worry about, on the same page as Nancy Pelosi. If you want to talk about the debate last night, we can do that. We have other topics I'm going to do for you today. I'm going to read you a piece, and I know you didn't expect this, from my new book, which will be out in October. I know I said I wouldn't do one more, but I was talked into doing one more. Its working title is Trump's War II. I'm trying to get the president elected, and then after he's elected, he's going to have a huge 4 years of a war. And since I wrote Trump's War way back after he was elected and it became number one on the New York Times list, my publisher asked me to do another one. And I'm going to talk about socialism and authoritarianism on the Savage Nation today. Be right back.
The Savage Nation. It's Savage on Demand.
Hey, let me ask you, are racing thoughts overtaking your night of sleep? Are you tired of not being able to sleep? Do you have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? Oh, I'm tired. Well, when it's time to go to bed, are racing thoughts keeping you awake? If so, it's time for you to try EBB. Ebb. What is it? If you've tried everything from pills to pillows with little success, it's time for you to try Ebb. Well, what is Ebb? Ebb is the first and only wearable drug-free solution that targets the root cause of sleeplessness, those racing thoughts. Ebb Sleep is a wearable solution that fits over the forehead and gently and precisely cools the forehead to reduce those racing thoughts, to allow people who are suffering from sleeplessness to drift more comfortably into a deeper, more restorative sleep. The mind's normal way of dealing with stress and challenges is to be on guard or more vigilant and more aroused. That's the reverse of what's needed for a restful night of sleep. Ebb's cooling, calming nature is designed to counteract the way the mind-body reacts to stressful situations, allowing one to reach restorative sleep quicker so they can be at peak performance the next day. Have the energy to do the things you love again by getting the sleep you need. Ebb's natural solution has no morning side effects and allows you to get back to your peak performance. Here's the good news. Our listeners can now try Ebb risk-free for 60 nights to confirm that it's the solution. How? Try Ebb risk-free for 60 nights by going to tryebb.com/savage. tryebb.com/savage. It's simple. Tryebb.com/savage. Order today to get the sleep you need and deserve. Tryebb.com/savage. That's tryebb.com/savage. And get that night's sleep you need. Well, there was Nancy Pelosi touring Chinatown saying it's perfectly safe to eat dim sum. It used to be called dim sum, but after she toured Chinatown, they changed it to dim sum. And this is perfectly safe. Go through Chinatown and eat dim sum. It's very good for you. Eat dim sum. Very good. Go to Chinatown. Buy a trinket. Buy a trinket in Chinatown and buy a wok and then eat some dim sum. It's perfectly safe, says Nancy Pelosi. The whole thing is crazy. Crazy. I mean, I myself have not been over the Golden Gate Bridge. I was over once this weekend. Last Friday night I went to Alioto's. It's true. I know the owner. I know the chefs. I know the kitchen. But I don't go to China. I used to like Chinatown. I'm sorry. Call me ignorant. You know, I ask myself how many of the people were just in China, how many came back and are asymptomatic. But that's true for a lot of places today, not just Chinatown. You know, I don't shake hands. I haven't for a long time. I do the ghetto fist bump. People say an older white guy doing a fist bump, they smile. I said, yeah, in an age of coronavirus and flu, I don't shake hands. And what's intriguing about that is that in ancient China, because of epidemics that spread throughout China, the people don't shake hands. You remember they would shake their own hand? There was a Chinese image of a man shaking his own hand underneath his robes, up and down. That came from the epidemics that were prevalent at the time. People were commonsensical and they didn't shake hands like we do in dumb America, where you let a big grotesque man try to break your hand. to prove how tough he is. I don't understand men. Why do they have to break a woman's hand when they shake her and to show how macho and how potent they are? Women should never shake a man.